everybody, what's up? It's Ted here. Monday, January 25th, 2021. Thanks for joining me. So, I talked to you guys last week about Biden, first day in office, signing all of those executive orders. And going through those executive orders, I found one. First of all, when they do these things, they every time they pass something like this, they give it a nice name to make you feel comfortable and safe with it. Things like affordable health care, which was anything but affordable. Things like the Patriot Act, which is anything but patriotic. So, based on that, by saying to you this executive order on protecting the public health could possibly, judging from history, if it has anything to do like those other ones, it's probably going to be not protecting public health and the environment. Okay? So anyway, you go down, if you go way down to the bottom of that page, anyway, you can go here and check it out for yourself. It's whitehouse.gov. You can check out all of the executive orders that he's been signing in since he came in. But if you go way down here, I believe it is number 7, other revocations, and C under 7 is Executive Order 13920 of May 1st, 2020. That executive order was for securing the United States bulk power system. As of Biden becoming president and signing these executive orders, it is hereby suspended for 90 days. The Secretary of Energy and the Director of OMB shall jointly consider whether to recommend that a replacement order be issued. Now, I just want to go and say, why on earth would you suspend an executive order securing the United States bulk power system? That's like a setup for failure. And if something happens within the next 90 days, did you know? Was it a setup? Was it a plan? I think one of the best things you can do within the 90 days, if we can get through those 90 days without anything happening, these people need to recommend that this thing gets put back on, because this should be one of our number one priorities in this country. We actually have a very brittle infrastructure when it comes to our power grid. We have 3 sections. We got the East Coast, we got the West Coast, and we got Texas. And this is rudimentary stuff, but it's not really all that hard to take down, apparently. And it's not hardened very well. I'm sure places of the government are hardened, but me and you, they have done nothing to protect our power. So now they're canceling this. So hopefully they'll get this turned back on if we can get through these 90 days. But this is just another reason for you to prepare. Get ready. This guy just shut off systems securing your power grid. Executive orders securing your power grid. He put out another executive order canceling it. So if we can get through these 90 days, hopefully they'll turn it back on. But if not, you might want to have some stuff ready just in case power goes out. And that goes for anything. It doesn't have to be the power grid going down. It could be even if it's just a storm. Sometimes in the Northeast you have hurricanes. And sometimes, even in the Southeast you have hurricanes. Up the whole East Coast you have hurricanes. You have earthquakes in the West. You have tornadoes across the Midwest, the South, the Mid-South, right? All of these things are worth getting prepared for. Even if it's only for a couple days that the power goes out, you're going to want to be prepared for that. It's much easier if you have candles and things that help you. We've come to a time in our society where we rely on electricity heavily, and we often, if a storm comes and we lose it for an hour, we're miserable walking around wondering when it's going to come back on. Instead of doing that, if it went down for any extended period of time, you really would want to be ready. So prepare for that, because this is odd to me to begin with. Why would you shut that off? Why would you make an executive order crossing that one out? It makes no sense to me. Leave in the comments what you guys think, because I think this is like a setup for a false flag or something. It just doesn't make any sense to me. And go to whitehouse.gov and check these things out for yourself. Part of the problem is they put them there and nobody cares to look. We hear the stories of the executive orders and nobody goes to check these things. Nobody sees what he's signing. We just hear it and say, oh, yeah, well, that's what we expect. But go check these things out for yourself. Whitehouse.gov. So, pandemic aftershocks overwhelm the global supply lines. And this article is exactly what it says. The global supply lines are being stressed right now. Even though we're starting to see a reprieve from everything going on, and we've got the vaccines now, which, by the way, Moderna is saying they're working hard on coming up with a booster shot to work against the new variants that we've seen. And we have officials coming out saying that some of these variants that are coming out now may slow down the return to normalcy. So when hearing things like that in the headlines today, you see one like this about the shock to the global supply lines. I'm just going to read this one with you as I kind of break it down, because this one really stuck out to me as another reason for us to get prepared. And I always say about hedging against inflation and things like that. And basically, this article is backing up what I've been telling you guys for the past couple weeks now. But anyway, 1 year after the coronavirus pandemic first disrupted global supply chains by closing factories and fresh shipping headaches are delaying the U.S. farm exports, crimping domestic manufacturing, and threatening higher prices for American consumers. And I don't know if you guys have seen it, but as I go to the store, even just food shopping, I've seen prices are going up pretty dramatically from month to month, even week to week. Well, not quite as noticeable week to week, but on a month to month basis, I'm talking changes of 10 cents. It might not sound like much now, but given over a year, that's a lot of money to increase on a particular item. But the government will tell you there's no inflation, adjusted for inflation. But the cost of a shipping container of goods has risen by 80% since early November and has nearly tripled over the past year, according to Freightos Baltic Index. The increase reflects dramatic shifts in consumption during the pandemic. Consumers are redirecting their money that was once spent on restaurants and movies theaters to purchase of record amounts of imported goods, basically for their home or person. So basically, people are changing their spending habits. That seems pretty obvious. But the thing that really sticks out is 80% rise in the price to ship, and it has tripled in price over the past year, which means ultimately, even though we're seeing those little rises now, we're probably going to see big surges in inflation in the future. And this is one of the reasons I always tell you guys, if you go out and prepare and get food, even for like say that power outage for a week or a couple days, that food, even if it sits on a shelf, if prices are going up like this and the food sits there for 6 months, you're going to save yourself money, because if you go out to get those same exact items 6 months later, the price will have increased and you saved, let's just assume that it was 10 cents a month that it went up. That's a 60-cent increase over 6 months. I know that's just for the argument's sake right here. I'm not saying that that's how it's gonna work, but it could. In the Depression days, there was a time where people would go to the store in the morning for whatever product, say milk, bread, whatever, and they'd go back in the afternoon and the price had changed. That's the type of thing we're looking at here. This is what we could see. But let me go on. That abrupt and unprecedented spending shift has upended long-standing trade patterns, causing bottlenecks from the gates of Chinese factories to the doorsteps of U.S. homes. The commercial disorder is just the latest blow to globalization's finely tuned engine. Capping more than a decade of financial crisis, trade wars, contagion, and recession, each shock has triggered swings in the flow of cash and goods through the 91 trillion global economy. But reverberations from the pandemic are exposing vulnerabilities in the physical plumbing of cross-border commerce that may linger, according to experts, port officials, and trade specialists. It's crazy. Prices are at record highs. Multiple things are happening all at once, said Phil Levy, an economist with Flexport, a San Francisco-based freight forwarder. People generally work off of expectations, but now there's just much uncertainty. So what he's saying is, from year to year to year, they use these trends to know, in the just-in-time delivery system, they know to have this on the shelf because week after week, after year, the data they have collected said that this many will get sold in this amount of time. Well, all of that is changing right now, and people used to work on the expectations of this many will be bought, so let's ship that many, and now there's just uncertainty, and it's really hard to run any type of business with nothing but uncertainty. Let me go on. How a little-known company navigated the pandemic's shortages and shutdowns at the Los Angeles port one day last week. 42 ships were anchored offshore waiting to unload their cargoes. Even as every warehouse within 60 miles was already full A shortage of dock workers amid California's worsening coronavirus outbreak and further complicating operations. Inbound cargo volumes in December were more than 23% higher than 1 year earlier, which, by the way, as of today, speaking of California, they have loosened up their lockdowns. So that's a good thing. That's a good sign. I always say that we see more lockdowns, they've been becoming more stringent, and this is something that I'm going to bring to you because this is totally against what I say to you guys, but they're loosening the lockdowns, and that's a good thing because they, judging by the numbers, nobody really has business locking us down right now. But let me go on. It's a global problem, and it may get worse before it gets better. So let me just stop right there. If you guys want to check that one out, that one's on MSN, and the name of the article is Pandemic Aftershocks Overwhelm the Global Supply Lines. But let me just say that just everything that we just talked about, the prices of all of these shipping containers going up, the bottlenecks in the shipping structure of our just-in-time delivery system, there's a really good chance we're going to see shortages again, and probably even worse. And this article actually goes on to say that manufacturers are complaining of shortages on things like steel. So that's a warning right there that they're having steel shortages. You might want to go ahead and get whatever products that you use that have steel in them. Use your mind to stay ahead of the curve, like I always tell you guys. I don't know, maybe you guys take my advice and this year start a little garden. You might want to go out now and get your shovels and rakes and stuff, because if steel is getting short like that, those products of steel could become in short supply. And if they're on the shelf, they're certainly going to cost you more money. So this is just more reasons just to go out and get ready. Get prepared just in case. It's insurance, right? You have insurance on your car, you have insurance on your home, but nobody takes insurance on these things that we talk about. They take these things for granted. Their electricity, they take that for granted. They don't make any preparations or have insurance for that. Their food, their products that they're telling you now, mainstream media is mimicking what I've been telling you for weeks. These shortages are coming, and the article even says it's going to get worse before it gets better. So I don't expect that these shortages and these prices are going to go down, or that there's going to be less shortages. I'd say it's going to get worse. So let's stay ahead of the curve. Use your logical thinking. What products could you store even if nothing happens? You're going to save money based on this article just in inflation. So please, I beg you, go out now and get ready. You got to get off your butt and do it. I can't do it for you. You know the saying, you can lead a horse to water, but you can't force it to drink. I can give you all this information, but if you just sit here and listen and you don't take action, that's a setup for failure. So with all that going on in the supply chain, you also have articles coming out talking about that the dollar crash has only just begun. And after an initial spike higher, the dollar has been falling steady since the COVID-19 pandemic took hold in the U.S. last March. It is down about 10% to 12% relative to America's major trading partners, which means we're down 10 to 12% more than everybody else. We used to be the strongest currency out there, and now there's a good chance that we're about to be overtaken by China as the world reserve currency. This, my friends, is another reason that you need to go out and get prepared. Okay? Every product that we get comes from China. Now they're about to overtake us as the world reserve currency. This is not good times for the United States of America. And as I've showed you with just that one executive order, I haven't dug into all of them yet, but I do plan on it, and I hope that you'll help me. And if you see anything, please feel free to send me a message, an email, whatever. But dig into those and look at those executive orders. This guy is damaging what we have. Certain things that Trump did, this guy came in and within 2 or 3 days executive ordered all of them done. Things on immigration that were great, that this country really needed. Things that how Trump got voted in. And you guys already know I'm not for them or them. I don't play that game. I'm for America. I'm for the Constitution. But this is just more reasons. This is only 3 stories I brought you guys today, but these are really important stories. These are the stories why we prep. The power grid going down is a real thing that could happen. I mean, this is not a joke. We need to take this seriously, and I feel as though our leaders are not taking that serious. You got just-in-time delivery system and supply chains being disrupted all over again. As numbers of this virus are getting better, you have this supply chain claiming to be aftershocks, but I think maybe it's just still the initial thing. We're still getting through this, and it really is going to get worse. And now the dollar crash. This one is the one that I think is one of the most likely to happen. Out of all of the SHTF scenarios that are out there, you got the EMPs and you got the all kinds of them. There's tons of them. But in my opinion, economic collapse is one of the most likely to happen very soon, especially the way that the Federal Reserve is printing money and giving out stimulus checks to everybody like it's free money. Somebody's got to pay for that. And now you got Janet Yellen today. She's definitely going to be the Treasury, of the United States of America, the Secretary of the Treasury. So she's been confirmed. Now that is Janet Yellen that used to be the head of the Federal Reserve. So that's just more commingling the Federal Reserve into our government, which is not a good thing. So pretty much the Federal Reserve is going to get everything they want. Janet Yellen's going to give us much easy money, probably tons and tons of stimulus till it leaves the UBI. That's going to facilitate the dollar crash and the economic collapse. Everybody sees these bubbles, but there's no other place to put your money except for into these bubbles. And at some point, these things are going to correct. So go out now, get prepared for it, because when it does correct, you don't want to be there with nothing. You want to have your food, you want to have your products that you think might be in shortage or way overpriced. Anyway, guys, don't be scared of this stuff. Go out, get ready, prepare for it. Don't be scared, be prepared. Stay ahead of the curve. I'm going to get out of here for tonight. Give me a thumbs up, subscribe, tell a friend about me. Please help me out. I appreciate all you guys that tune in on a regular basis and watch my videos. I really, really, really appreciate you guys. Anyway, I'm out of here. Stay safe.